So a big disclaimer at the beginning of this video. One of the main things that I think we usually see amongst the various NHL fan bases when one fan base or one beat goes out there and publishes an article about where a team can go, I think it's quite common for other teams' fans to step in and say, wait a minute, nah, not that guy. That guy's not available for trade. That guy won't go to your team. That guy is not going to get traded because of XYZ. So I'm going to say here at the beginning of this video, I fully expect some of that in the comment section of this video commentary over here, because what I wanted to do was head over onto Daily Hive Sports and respond to an article published by Trevor Beggs from 3 days ago. 9 young players with big potential the Vancouver Canucks could target in a trade. This, of course, is 9 potential various video topics that we can make commentaries about, but I just wanted to focus on 2 of them here. You know, I don't think we have enough time to dive into every one of these 9 names to the capacity that I feel comfortable doing on this YouTube channel. I love diving into things, getting very intricate and intimate, especially this time with the Buffalo Sabres and the New York Rangers. So let's take our sights over to the Metro and talk about 2 of the players discussed in this piece. It will be linked in the description, by the way, so if you wanted to get the full scoop on that, you want to read more about the other names, we'll make videos about some of these other guys too, so just keep on the lookout for that. But Beggs opens up this article by talking about how Vancouver Canucks GM Patrick Allvin is at a crossroads, and the next big move he makes could define his tenure. He has been searching for a second-line center after being forced to trade JT Miller in January. It's been said that there's no replacing Miller. But what if there is? 2 of the best trades in recent NHL memory involve the acquisitions of Miller and Tampa Bay forward Brandon Hagel. Miller, of course, hadn't really fit with the Lightning, and Tampa was in a cap crunch. Miller quickly went from a second-liner to a star in Vancouver. Hagel was slightly younger than Miller when the Blackhawks dealt him to the Lightning. While Hagel was on the rise, the Lightning also paid a steep price to acquire him. Since the trade, much like Miller, Hagel has blossomed from a second-liner to an all-star, and was even picked to play for Team Canada at the Four Nations. Essentially, what Beggs' thesis is here with the opening of this article is that some of these young guys around the league could turn into the next Miller or the next Brandon Hagel. None of them are guaranteed to doing that, but we have seen this kind of trade be successful in the past, where a team takes a chance on a young-ish forward asset that inevitably becomes an even bigger and better star than anybody would have imagined. Let's skip past Mason McTavish of Anaheim. Let's also skip past Montreal, because that can definitely be a video topic on its own, and head all the way to the 3rd overall name on this article, Alexi Lafreniere. Long linked to the Canucks given that his former agent Emily Castonguay is Vancouver's assistant GM, these rumors have quieted down following the Miller trade. However, until Alexis Lafreniere discovers his potential, he is a name worth watching. He's just beginning a 7-year deal worth $7.45 million per season. The Rangers will be expecting him to be a much better player than the one who had scored 45 points last year. And that's a reasonably, short conversation. This is why I wanted to say, I don't want to dive into all 9 of the names. I want to just get into one of them very deeply here. Because Alexis Lafreniere, playing for the New York Rangers, 23 years old, there's still a lot of time for this guy to continue to get better and work on his craft. But he did have a down year this previous season, 45 points and 17 goals, after having a 57-point year with 28 goals the year before that. He also was sub-point per game in the playoffs, but just under, with 14 points in 16 games. Lafreniere, as displayed in 23-24, can be good. He did all that at 22 years old. So obviously there still is some potential and a lot of genuine upside with this player. It's just going to boil down to where the Rangers decide to play him, and if Lafreniere himself is able to rework everything in between his ears and behind his eyes to get it all fixed and set to being a top forward star in the National Hockey League. He was first overall for a reason, might I remind you. And back in 2020, there was no doubt that a Lafreniere-like asset was more valuable than a Raymond or a Stützle or a Sanderson or a Byfield. He was unanimously number one. Everybody thought this guy was the best QMJHL prospect since Crosby, and there was a lot of potential because of it. Sure, he's not the fastest guy out there, but his skill, his processing speed, his playmaking, these are the things that made Lafreniere an outstanding hockey prospect with his 112 points in 52 games in his draft year. Now, whether or not you think that profile of a player still exists somewhere deep within Alexi Lafreniere's psyche is up to you. But if the Vancouver Canucks were to take a swing on this, I ultimately do think it would cause a lot of divide in the fan base. A lot of folks would say, oh, a first overall pick? Yes, get this guy over. He's young. He's got potential. But then there'd be so many others that said, yeah, but he's coming off of a bad year. He's not really looking like he's worth the money. We're not confident that he's going to be able to get any better than what he has been. And there will be a lot of red flags. This is where you have to take that sort of a chance, though. And I do think that it's worthwhile to talk about some of these names as potential pieces in trades. Although I will say, for the Canucks, Lafreniere doesn't necessarily play center, so I don't really know if he's going to be a primary target for this team. Unless, of course, the Canucks were to swap out another winger and then maybe get Jack Roslovic or something in free agency. We'll see. But Lafreniere is an intriguing name, in my opinion, as a Vancouver Canucks trade target. Let's continue back onto the article and scroll down to number 7. Josh Norris of the Buffalo Sabres, another Metro team over here. Because Josh Norris is good friends and a former college roommate of Quinn Hughes, he will always be on the trade market radar for Canucks fans. He only played 3 games with the Sabres before getting injured following the trade deadline. If he gets off to a subpar start in Buffalo, an organization that has missed the playoffs for 14 straight years can't afford to be patient with an injury-riddled 26-year-old. Can they? And I think that's a very fair point, but the question should also be asked from the other side. If Buffalo is giving up on a guy who has been injury-prone, who has missed so many games the past few years, who is very talented and a 30-goal scorer at his best, I mean, he did that also in a very small amount of games played. 35 goals in 66 games, do the math on that, and he was on pace for 43 goals in this 21-22 season. If the Buffalo Sabres get impatient with a guy who is injured all too often, will Vancouver be more patient? I don't know. They already have one center who has been struggling with injuries for most of his career in Filip Chytil. Will they be interested in grabbing another? And here's the thing, Josh Norris actually was a Vancouver Canucks trade target. They almost got him at the trade deadline this previous year. But it didn't go down. He stuck around with Buffalo. He played those 3 games and he had scored 2 points, a goal, and an assist. And now we're just kind of waiting to see what Josh Norris's future holds as he tries to come back from injury and he tries to put up another 30-goal season once more. He's got the potential. I think if everything goes right for Norris, if he plays an 82-game campaign, that in which he has never done before in the past, he is probably good enough for 40 goals and maybe 25 to 30 assists. He's primarily been a lot more of a goal scorer than an assist guy. But if he plays a full season, I don't actually think it's impossible for him to hit 40 goals multiple times in his career. It's just, we need to see him hit it, man. He hasn't been able to get there. And he's 26 years old. He's already in the prime, quote-unquote, of his NHL career and his talent level. I just wonder where the ceiling is for Norris, because we've never had an opportunity to see him at a full season's worth of play. Add to this the fact that he is Quinn Hughes' good buddy and he was the roommate of Quinn back in Michigan. There's a lot of value here to having Norris, especially as a Vancouver Canucks option. But I do question whether or not that health is an issue. So with all this in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel, firstly, about Alexi Lafreniere as a Canucks trade target, and also about Josh Norris? Sabres fans and Rangers fans, feel free to chip in with your opinions as well. What do you think about Vancouver as a destination? What kind of assets would you want from the Canucks? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions about these trade target ideas. I hope you enjoyed this video. And Bye.